Hello, happy stampers. This is Kate with Kate's Paper Creations, coming to you with my weekly Casing the Catalog video and blog. I am glad you joined me. I'm glad that there are several of you who have subscribed to my channel, and I welcome you as well. I hope you enjoy my videos, and if there's something in particular you would like to see or whatever, let me know in the comments below. I will try and accommodate you. Today I am casing the catalog, page 25 of the 2021-2022 annual catalog, and I am going to be casing this particular card right here. Now, I don't have many of the things that they used. This edge that they had here was done with this Stitchery stamp set, which I don't have yet, and this background here was embossed with I believe I can't remember the name of it with an embossing folder that I don't have either, but I'll show you what I did. Part of casing the catalog is just using it as a jumping off spot or an inspiration to do your own thing. So that's what I did here, and I will explain it all to you as we go along. So it starts with Whisper White Thick base. Well, let me show you what we're going to be using. I'm going to be using the Very Versailles stamp set. I'm going to be using it for the sentiment, and I'm also going to be using this leaf design and this design right here. Then I'm using the painted poppies for the flowers and leaves, and then in that is the dies that the tag will come from. And then I'm using the stitched greenery die for my background instead of an embossing folder. So that gives you those pieces. Then the Whisper White Thick standard 5.5 by 8.5 scored at 4 1/4 makes that A2 greeting card side fold is what I'm going to be doing. So that's the base. Then this piece is from Whisper White Regular, and it is 3 1/8 by 5 1/4. And then I did the stitched greenery die, which I hope you can see. And it actually looks beautiful from both sides. This is the raised side, and you can kind of feel it. Then you turn it over, and it's smooth, and you can see the stitching as well. So it looks good from both ways. And so then you have to decide which way you're going to use it. So there's that. Here is the trick I wanted to show you today. I'm going to bring in a piece of my grid paper because we're going to use it, and this is how I made this side piece. I took a piece of mint macaron and I cut it. Well, this particular piece is 2 by 5.5. I needed it to be 5.5 long. The width, I just used a scrap that I had. I'm going to put it on my grid paper, matching it up to the grid lines so that I know it is straight. Okay. Then I am using this die and Versamark because this piece is embossed with white embossing powder. So I used Versamark ink to ink it. Now when you're using Versamark ink, you'll want to use some kind of embossing buddy or something like that to keep oils from your fingers and static in that from allowing the embossing powder to stick where you don't want it to stick. And so I will have done that. I'm not going to actually do this. I'm just going to show you how I did it. This is my little square. Like I say, I bought these from Amazon, and then they came 2 to a pack. One has a 12-inch. They both were 12-inch, and I just cut this one off at 6 because I needed a short one to work with. And so I have both the 6 and the 12-inch. So then what I did is, for this, to make sure that this was straight, I put this like this on the grid and made sure it was straight on the grid. And then I used, we'll get that set, there we go. Then I took the block and I made sure that the edge of the block also matched the grid. So now I know that is straight on my block. Okay, then we'll attach this again and get it lined up, and there's removable adhesive on the back of this to hold it in place so it won't move. Then I took this and I stamped it with the Versamark, and I came down just one square, 1/4 of an inch, and stamped like that. Then I took my little square and I hooked it on the edge of the paper, like that. So there's my first, and I wasn't worried about side to side. As long as they're straight and they're evenly spaced, I'm going to cut the part of the design I want. And so it's a little bit wider than I need, and so that way I can cut it down and get exactly what I want. So there's stamp number 1. Okay, then I came down, I just left that there, and I came down 1, 2, 3 lines with my square, being able to keep it lined up with the grid paper, stamped it with Versamark, stamped. Came down 1, 2, 3 lines, stamped. 1, 2, 3 squares, stamped. And I did that all the way down with Versamark. Then I put the powder on and embossed it. And this is what it looked like. And it was wide enough that I could cut both of these for both cards out of that. So that's how I did that. I hope that makes sense. If you have questions, just holler and we will try to answer them. So this piece is going to go on the front of the card. It ended up being, let me measure that with my grid paper. It ended up being 5/8 inch wide by 5.5 inches long. And let me get my stamp and seal. I'm gonna put 2 rows on that. And this lines up with the fold, top to bottom and along the fold, just like that. So there's that piece. Then this piece, like I said, was 3 1/8 by 5 1/4, embossed or whatever, die cut with the stitched greenery die. It's going to go on flat as well. And again, like I said, it looks beautiful from both sides, so you're going to have to choose which side you want to have showing on this, because it's hard to decide. Now this is going to have an 1/8 inch border all the way around between the green and on all sides. So you want to make sure that you get that so that it has that border. It just creates a little bit more dimension to the front of your card. Now the flowers, I have already stamped and cut them out. There are dies for these leaves and flowers, but I didn't want the white edges, so I fussy cut them. But there are dies for these, and they're, I forget the name, painted poppies dies, I believe, or painted dies, or let me see, painted labels dies is what it's called. And so I stamped these all with Tuxedo Black Memento ink, because that's the ink you want to use when you're coloring with blends pens. When you're coloring with blends pens, you want to stamp with a water-based black ink. That way it won't smear when you're coloring. If you use StazOn, which is another alcohol type based ink or pigment based ink, it will, the alcohol inks will make it smear. So Memento Tuxedo Black is the one to use when you're coloring with blends pens. And so I colored these 2 flowers with Pale Papaya, light and dark. This one is Calypso Coral, light and dark, and the leaves are Mint Macaron, light and dark. And we're going to be putting those together with mini glue dots. So let me get some glue dots here. One of these is going to go behind the large flower, so I'm putting the glue dot on the front. And let's see, let's do it this way. And then one of these is going to go on the front of the large flower, so I'm putting the glue dot on the back, and I'm just going to put it right over here. It's not an exact science. You can obviously put your flowers anywhere you want. The leaves, I'm going to put a glue dot on the front of each one of the 3 leaves. right at the base of the leaf. Let's get that out of the way. And again, it's just a matter of deciding where you want your leaves to be. And there's the flower configuration that I have. Then I am going to mount this, is going to get mounted with dimensionals to this. And so I kind of want to figure out, it's going to have to go about like that. So I'm going to put a dimensional here and here, one on that leaf. And I don't think I need more than one on there. I just need it to hold it in place. And I'm just situating it so my sentiment shows. I stamped the sentiment with the Memento ink in black. This is Pale Papaya cardstock. And this die is part of the dies in the die set that I showed you that we used for the flowers and everything. So there, I'm going to do that. Now I want to attach this whole thing with dimensionals as well. And because this is raised over this part only needs a single layer of dimensionals. So we will put a single layer on that part. We'll hope this all fits on the front of my card when I get done. I should have checked that before I started. And yep, we're going to have to do some adjusting. Well, let's fix that. Sometimes I get a little bit ahead of myself. There we go. Let's go ahead and put this on here. And it's fairly large, so I'm gonna bring it right over to the edge of the embossed piece. And I'm gonna go ahead and stick that down, and then I can re-stick this when I'm ready. The rest of these dimensionals need to be 2 layers because I've already got 1 layer on the card with the sentiment tag. And so when these go on, they need to be 2 layers deep, or it will kind of bend and it won't look right. So that's what I'm gonna do. Let's see, I need one up here yet. I think that will do it. Let's see. Okay, and then I'm going to have to rearrange just a little bit. So let's see, do I want to do it that way? I could go decisions. I'm going to go just like that. Put that down. That could have used a piece of a dimensional. So let's put one of those. Where are my scissors? Let's use one of these pieces right here. Small enough to fit behind that leaf and not show. There, that looks much better. And so there is the card I cased today. I hope you enjoyed today. I hope you learned something new or decided to try something different. And I thank you for stopping by. The link to my online store is in the description box below, as well as a link to my blog where I try to list the current Stampin' Up! Specials or sales or whatever. And right now we do have a sale going on using the Designer Series papers. Let me bring that flyer in just so you know. There's only certain papers that are on sale, and it has them listed here. And I have the Beauty of the Earth and the hand-pinned papers and the Pansy Petals papers, and they are all gorgeous. I also have the In Good Taste ones. That was a carryover, and just a myriad of backgrounds, and very, very versatile for backgrounds, and especially nice for those cards that when you don't want to get all flowery, you want to do something different. So be sure and take advantage of the Designer Series papers sale too. Thanks again for stopping by.